All right.
They are cute
Well,
yoga pants still, Becca.
oh,
I like them.
thank you. Yeah, you know what? You know what it's like in quarantine? You buy things. So, yeah, I've been like shopping like crazy. And in fact, I found a place, and I can give you all the website. It's Shein.com. I think we were discussing that. So it's SHEIN.com. And these were like $12.
Wow.
And I bought 5 pairs, and they came within 3 weeks. Now their delivery is sped up now, so it's awesome. We're gonna get going. Sound good? I will just be muting you, and then we will rock and roll here. Do this. Do this. Nice to see everybody. Okay, just gonna slide on back here. Oh, here we are. This is so good. Thank you so much for joining today. Namaste.
Namaste.
So it's kind of an interesting experience the other day when I was driving to work. I go down St. Albert Trail, and I think we all know that sometimes there can be a lot of traffic, so it was sort of stop, start, and I noticed that part of the reason why it was not flowing as it usually does is because there was this huge truck in front, and it was on the right-hand lane. And it was what you would see as a cement truck. So it had the back of it was sort of swirling and doing its thing. And then all of a sudden, as we were driving along and it was picking up some speed, it hit a bump, and what I assumed was a clump of cement, like wet cement, came sort of bouncing out of the back of it and landed right in front of the vehicle. So they then swerved, then the other vehicle swerved, and it sort of created that whole almost backlog of, you know, like a domino effect, right? And it was like, I had this moment and I thought, shit, that is super freaking dangerous. Like, that is, to me, a really serious hazard to have cement dropping off the back of a vehicle. Granted, it's wet, but like, just imagine having that attached to your tire and then drive, and then continue to drive. I don't know, I shouldn't be laughing because I'm imagining like it's like the Flintstone vehicle that you would have after a while, right? It would be definitely a cement wheel. And as I was continuing to drive, you guys know me, my brain starts to work in mysterious ways. So I was like, I wonder what we are unconsciously dumping. And what I mean by that is every time we have an interaction with somebody, we leave an imprint. And I know for myself in the past, one of my main emotions has been anger. So if I felt frustrated, if I have had a bit of confrontation, if I have felt like my back has been up against the wall, I immediately start biting. And that's a very strong reaction from my family. It's programmed in me to sort of get a little agitated a little quicker than I would like. And I know that when I walk away, I'm like, yeah, that sucked. You know, in my head, I'm like, I shouldn't have reacted like that, and I continue on, and I may even apologize or whatnot, but I have left a wake of anger, right? This sense of this person now, whoever it is, or a situation, now has to deal with my stuff that I've just dumped all over them. I think that people manage emotions in different ways. So for instance, sometimes when people walk away, they're like, I just walked away, you know, I just couldn't handle it. Well, that's also called avoidance. So we can sort of dump avoidance. We can dump a feeling of fear. Right now, you can hear this in people's conversations. It's like, instead of being like, oh, hey, how you doing? Right? You know, life is pretty good, struggling a little bit, you know. It's like, oh my God, did you hear on the news? That's all this shit that's going on. And you're like, ah! And for me, that coming at me is hard to take on a consistent basis. I think we can dump insecurities. And this is all unconscious. It's not like we're trying to create this relationship where the person is almost dodging our emotions. But honestly, I think that when we become super conscious or aware of ourselves, we almost start to treat life like a bubble. Like we enter slowly, gracefully, mindfully. And when we leave, we sort of slide out of that situation, not meek and like this, but more so, how do I want to be leaving this scenario quietly? Maybe less of an imprint? Maybe we actually leave scenarios better than we entered them. And I know that's not always possible for every situation that we come into, but I am in this place where I'm like, I don't want to leave mass destruction around me. Even if it's just in how I'm communicating, maybe it's a little harshly, maybe I'm speaking my truth, but it's a little bit like out there. Just to be aware of our impact on people, I think is really super valuable. So today, that's what we're going to do, is as we move and as we flow and as we breathe, we're going to sit in our truth. We're going to look at possibly leaving prints of love, kindness, compassion, being gentle in our journey, as opposed to barreling through it. So let's come to our comfortable seat. Let's let our shoulders take a little bit of a roll up and a roll back. And a roll up and a roll back. And maybe you settle into your sit bones as you move a little side to side and just notice the equal distribution of weight, and then lift your heart up from that space. Allow your collarbones to be broad while your shoulders draw back and away. Your chin is tucked in and the sort of like the pillow point of your head pushes back slightly as your eyes gently rest one on top of the other. So you have your eyelids just gently meeting in the middle. We're not going to try and do anything today. We're going to be aware of even our movements, because in yoga, if we're pushing, that's almost like leaving a print in our body of aggressiveness. Think about being light, about being love and energy and moving in such a way that is organic for today. So maybe we gotta pull back. Maybe we gotta kind of stretch it out and be a little bit more creative with our movements rather than just so abrupt. What do you need today? What we need, all of us, is breath. So giving yourself some time to take some inhales and an exhale. And noticing as you in-breath, as you breathe in, you can feel and fill up from the nostrils down into the body, all the way into the very base, moving that breath into your hips. And then when we let go, when we release, when we exhale, we draw up from our body. We allow the feeling of release, so that we never have to breathe in that breath again. We do not have to be recycling. We can pick new, better, different. So that as soon as we exhale, it goes away, and then we have an inhale that gives us the accessibility to breathe in something awesome. And that might be, if we're programmed for a response in relationships, that we actually choose a different way of communicating, a different way of interacting that's more positive and that will leave an imprint and not have a massive glob of cement where people are dodging you constantly. Let's bring our palms to touch into the heart space. Lift your chest up into the thumbs and the thumbs back into the chest, and we bow our chin slightly, and we'll open this class with a single cleansing breath and an om. Let's take an inhale. Big sigh. Inhale into om. gaze to slowly open up, looking down towards the floor. And then our gaze can shift forward. Let's move ourselves into our wide knee child's pose. Let's take a moment and get there. However you want to get there. Letting those knees come as wide as the mat. And you almost want the tops of the feet to be anchored further in towards the floor, and then maybe even wiggle your bum a little closer towards your heels, and then lay yourself out over top of your thighs. So if your knees are wide, of course, you get that feeling of getting into the belly a little bit more so, right? So that you can breathe a bit deeper. Letting the head maybe anchor further down to the floor. The elbows can relax and soften as well. Taking that space between the eyebrows and rolling it out. I think it's so valuable to get into this space that causes us so much tension. Squeezing our eyebrows together, looking at computers, reading, watching Netflix. It's all that. It's all the COVID stuff. Nice. One more big inhale here. And then eventually you'll start to walk your hands back towards your knees. And as you do, you'll slide your knees in, tuck your toes under, and bring your bum and hips over top of your knees as you inhale, arms reach right up towards the ceiling. Good, you can interlock your hands and press your palms up towards the ceiling as you go over right side, taking that little bit of a side bend, stretching out all of the left side. So it's like that whole side body is experiencing now like a fanning kind of motion. Noticing if your top arm is close towards your head, make sure that you bring your head in between your upper arms. Nice. Beautiful. You can even soften your hips if you need to, or press them forward a little bit further. One more big inhale here. And then eventually we'll take this into a modified side plank. You can open up your arms nice and wide. Continue with your right fingertips to the floor. Take your left foot long. You can ground it down. If you want to go a little further, the arm reaches up, and maybe you can even take your leg up as well. You can also drop that palm down if it feels a little bit more organic there. See how you go. Beautiful. Extending the gaze up just a little bit further. One more big inhale. And as you exhale, slowly walk your left hand down to the floor. Bring yourself around to center with your left leg still elevated, or drop it to the floor, and then lift it up so you're in tabletop with the left leg extended. Take your foot and drop it over towards the right hand side. So immediately it kind of feels like the body sort of settles this way. Can you kind of bring your shoulders neutral so you're definitely in a banana-shaped body from your heel to your top shoulder on the left. And then extend out your hands towards the right hand side. So there's a corner of your mat, go that direction, and soften your heart down. So think about this like being a puppy pose or a downward dog. As you're opening up your armpits, you stretch your fingertips forward, kick your left heel away from you, hold here for 3, maybe letting the head go down a little bit further, but only at the openness of the shoulders. So if it's too taxing on the shoulder joints, don't do it. One more big breath in here. Nice, and then eventually you'll walk your hands back safely onto the mat. Underneath the shoulders they go, both knees are underneath you now. Tuck your toes under, the hands will probably have to walk forward. Your first downward facing dog. So let's lift up and let's lift back. So just give yourself some time to pedal it out a little bit, getting into the bottoms of the feet, the ankles, the Achilles tendon, your hips, your hammies, the backs of your knees. If you haven't done a downward dog in a while, welcome back. It feels juicy and also a little bit terrible too at the same time. So here we are, one more big inhale. Eventually it does get easier, right? Practice, practice. So eventually bring yourself forward into an upper push-up position, shoulders over top of the wrist line. You can always drop to your knees, chaturanga or floor. You choose wherever you want to go. Remember, chaturanga is just 90. Then open up your heart, little cobra, cobra, upward dog. You choose. Doesn't have to be a very big movement. And then take it into a downward facing dog. Yeah, nice. Allowing those hips to move up and move back. So your spine is long. We're anchoring down the index, the pinky, the thumb, being really strong and checking in with ourselves. What do we need in this moment? Are we pushing ourselves? Are we in that beautiful zone of like 80%? If you're over that, take it back a little bit. More yoga to come. Come forward again, upper push-up position. Exhale, chaturanga or floor. Upward dog cobra. Get those shoulders back, heart is high, you got this. Back into downward facing dog. So we're breathing, inhaling and exhaling, being very well aware of how it feels to open and close. And then come up high onto your toes, settle your knees all the way down towards the floor, walk your hands back. Now you go inhale, arms come up. Hips over top of the knees, interlock, opposite grip. So, okay, what do I normally do? And then flip the grip. So whichever index is in front, do that. So sometimes the brain doesn't want to go there. And then go over towards the left-hand side. It's kind of amazing the things that we automatically do. I always have my left index in front. I do not know why that is, even though I'm right-handed. So away we go, getting the head in between the upper arms, opening up the hips a little bit further. Maybe even feel like your hands are coming back a little bit and your chest comes forward. And then eventually you open this up, and just be careful how you do this. Take your left palm to the floor, extend out your right leg. You might just stay here, I love it. Otherwise you're fully lifting up that leg and holding here. You might even choose to lift the gaze up a little bit, kind of surrendering yourself in that position. Heart is nice and high. It's elevated, the core is strong. One more big breath in, beautiful. Nice, and then eventually this hand slides to the floor. We walk around safely to tabletop with an extended right thigh. Take your toes and tap them over to the left. Yes, and then eventually you start to walk your hands towards the left as well. And as you do this, we slide hands forward, ass back, heart down to the floor at your capability. This is kind of like a version of puppy pose, down like a hanging downward dog, and yet we're still extending the heel on the right side, getting into the side body. So if you're not feeling as much, press your rib cage over to the right a little bit further. Let your head go down to the earth. One more big inhale here. Eventually your hands safely walk back, especially if there's a slippery floor in front of you. Hands to the earth, both knees to the ground, downward dog. Walk the hands forward, away we go, up and back. Nice, and then take some time, walk your hands to the back of your mat. So we'll all be in a forward fold, walk, 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 all the way to the back. Let's half lift, hands to shins of earth, half lift. Beautiful, forward fold, let it go. So hang out here for a moment, and maybe you pedal out your feet just a little bit. So one heel lifts and then the other, moving side to side, softening the knees, straightening them up. But bring the weight forward in the base of your toes so you're not hanging out in your heels, locking out the backs of the legs, yeah? And then let's roll up to standing. So come on up, roll, roll, roll. Inhale, the arms come all the way up, rising. Palms to touch the hands. Make their way into heart space. Let's do this again. Inhale, reach your arms up. Nice. Exhale, hands towards the heart space. If your feet are not together, can you walk them in? So you have the base of the toes touching. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, Utkatasana. We're sitting down into a chair. Option A, you can take your left arm across, right hand to your low back, facing towards the right side. Otherwise, your elbow goes to the outer edge of your knee and you take that twist. The only thing is really watch that your left knee is back in line with your right. So you're taking the crease of your left hip and moving it back in space. So one more big breath in here. Nice, and then eventually bring it all the way back to center, come up to standing. Interlock your hands again, reach them up, same as we did on the floor, go over into a side bend right side. So you might notice that there's a little more weight in one of your feet, kind of play with that distribution, and then roll back your heart a little bit further, opening up that space in the chest. Nice. All right, come all the way back up, palms come to touch, sit down again with Utkatasana, away we go. This left leg, it's called reverse eagle. It's going in the back way, so you tuck it behind and tap your foot. And then maybe you get your knees, so the back knee is kind of touching the front calf, yes. Then we sit down low. Okay, now if you want to go further, hands onto the hip and the knee facing right. Go a little further, elbow comes down, palms come to touch, here we go. Nice, and for those who do want to play around with the side crow, if you are familiar with it, those of you who are watching on YouTube or at home, you can drop your hands down, both elbows go to the hip and the knee, and we elevate the feet. And we'll just hold here for 3, for 2, then for 1, bring yourself all the way back wherever you are. We'll bring ourselves back to center. Nice. And then slowly come up, and as you do, bring this left leg, holy crap, I'm shaky, and bring yourself back to center. Whew, okay, inhale, reach those arms up. Exhale, take it to forward fold. So come on down with me. Now widen out your feet just enough that they're about that fist width apart. You can use your peace fingers and wrap around your big toes or your hands on your ankles. Inhale, you're lifting up your heart a little bit, but we're moving to Utkatasana. So eventually, draw yourself in, letting your head make its way further towards your shins. The top of the head down towards the feet. The shoulders are rolled back and away from the ears. Think about even your tips of the ears dripping further to the floor. One more big inhale here. And then slowly bring your hands to your shins. Let's half lift. Exhale, walk it out, upper push-up. Get your right knee coming down to the floor, option A, or keep it up. Feet come together, side plank, roll over, reach up your left arm. Nice. Take your left hand all the way down. You can either lift up both feet, hold here, upper push-up, or both knees down. Good. You can either roll over with your left knee down or keep the leg up. We're moving to the other side. So we start to open this up, make sure shoulders over your wrist. Extend up your right arm. Beautiful. Take your hands back down towards the floor. Hold here with both knees down or both knees elevated for 3. Keep the bum down low, tuck it under, core is strong. For 2. For 1, chaturanga or floor. Upward dog cobra. Downward facing dog. Nice. Extending out through the hips, the creases of the hips sliding back in time and space. And then eventually walk your hands back towards your feet. Away we go. Do. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. This time let's swan dive it. Come on up. Beautiful, yes. Palms to touch, hands work themselves into the heart space. Inhale again, rise your arms back up. Palms interlock, press up and go over with the opposite grip and go over to the left. Yeah, and see how that feels. So maybe again, you're kind of sliding your hands back and your chest pops forward. That may not work, right? So we choose the option, maybe we gotta settle back a little bit or come up, depending what we need. So holding here, maybe even shifting the gaze up and then all the way up we go. Palms come to touch into the heart space, seated down, Utkatasana. Creases of the hips slide back, palms come to touch. Option A, forearm or elbow, you've got this. And we're opening towards the left. We're being aware and conscious of what do we need. We're not forcing or pushing. We're giving ourselves the freedom to actually breathe in this, right? So if you can't breathe, back up. Nice, and bring yourself all the way back to center. We'll reach up, arms come up, maybe lift the gaze. Hands come all the way back into the heart space. Sit down into a chair once again. This time reverse eagle, right thigh crosses over and taps towards the left. My back knee is actually kind of against my back half. Other leg there, huh? Rights and lefts, I know. And then we sit down and maybe your elbow goes to the outer edge of your knee. You can also take your hands onto the knee and the hip if that's a better option. Yeah. We're checking in with how does this feel? We can feel the burn for sure. I'm positive of it because I can. I'm sure we're all feeling it. Just twist the other way, Jenna. Yes, okay. And then maybe you choose to drop into your crow. You can see how that feels. We come down low, hands to the earth, back elbow on the back hip. Maybe you just lean with your feet down. You can also just kind of get into the fingertips a little bit, activating Hasta Bandha, which is really important, getting the whole arch of the hand lifted. One more big breath in. I know it's a tough hold in that squat. Eventually we're back. Bring ourselves back to center. Come up to standing. Whew. Inhale those arms. Feet come together, arms up. This time, little cactus arms, elbows open up, heart lifts up. Exhale, arms up and forward fold. Down we go. Inhale to half lift. And exhale take your hands to the earth, walk it out into an upper push-up position. Beautiful. Exhale, chaturanga or floor. Upward dog cobra. Downward facing dog. Yes, loving this. Movement is so good. It shifts our energy. It gives us this sense of freedom. And if we're feeling kind of that's crappy, just in case you didn't understand my sound effects, it really can shift our mood into something better. Inhale, right leg goes high to the sky. Gaze it forward. Look towards your left wrist though, and step your foot towards your left wrist. Okay, is everyone there? Yeah? Okay, now take your back foot and kind of walk it a little bit. It's still to the back of the mat, but you'll cross it over towards the right. So now your legs are kind of twisted. Welcome to life right now, okay? This is life. This represents life right here. Inhale, arms come up, you're in your lunge. It's amazing how we can get used to kind of being linear forward and back. As soon as we kind of like angle ourselves out, it's like, whoa. Yeah, your hands can come onto the knee and the hip facing towards the right. Soften up that back knee if you need so it's not so locked out. Be aware that your back heel is over your back toes so that your heel isn't one way or the other. Nice, one more big inhale here. Keep your legs like this. Keep your right hand where it is and face forward. Take your left fingertips to your ear. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, come back up. I promise just 2 more, okay? Exhale, you can take your back knee down to the floor as well. Elbow to knee. Come back up. Last time, exhale, elbow to knee. Nice. Bring it all the way back upright. Eventually, rise those arms up high. Hands come down to the floor. Take your back leg and move it all the way towards the left side again. Hands to the inside edge of your foot now, wide leg forward fold. Here we go. Walk around towards the left. So you have equal distance from the edge of your toes to the edge of the mat. And sometimes we have to actually sort of measure that out to make sure we've got that. Then inhale, fingertips underneath your shoulders. Lift your heart so that you're parallel to the floor and feel your head moving in the direction of the left side. Beautiful. And then you've got the options of using peace fingers or hands on your ankles. Bend the knees if you need and start to exhale into a forward fold variation. Now, if you've got your fingers around your toes, please have your thumbs up on your toes themselves so that we're not using the thumbs as extra balance. Use the core. Nice, holding here for 3. Holding here for 2. Beautiful. And then for 1, walk your fingertips all the way back out. Lift your heart back parallel. Flare your arms out wide, front and back. Now this might be a little issue in the back of the legs, so soften up a little bit if you need, or even keep your fingertips down, that's okay. Or just move 1 arm at a time. Now let me interlock the hands behind us, or fist to touch, whatever works, okay? And then send your hands long, and slowly start to dive your head down towards the earth, forward fold, arms coming up and arms coming over. So the feet, we've got the weight forward in the base of the toes. Your heels are a little bit wider than your second toe. 1 more big breath in here. Yes, and then eventually bring your hands to the low back. Fingertips to the floor for support. Walk all the way back around, and now we have lizard. So you have your right foot still in front, facing the front of your mat. Perfect. Then back knee comes down. Let's rest. Okay. It's like sometimes after a few movements, it's like, oh my God. Okay, so toes out towards the side. If that feels better for you, walk your back knee away. You know lizard, I'm sure of it. Your toes are back, and you send your hips forward and down, and then you make the judgment call. Do I rest my elbows to the floor, or do I stay upright? Because either way, you're gonna get the stretch. There's no right and wrong, it's what's best for our bodies, right? I mean, I think that that's really the key of the yoga. That's why anybody can do yoga. Yeah. Holding here for 3. Maybe even let your head go a little bit. There's a lot of tension that we carry in the back of the neck. As I'm touching mine, I'm realizing how sweaty I am. Ew. Okay, one more big breath in. And then slowly walk your hands all the way back upright. We'll take this foot in, tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, step it back, upward push-up option, stay in downward dog if you're a bit tired. Otherwise, let's take a flow, chaturanga or floor. Upward dog cobra, nice. You can do child's pose if that's a better option today, downward facing dog. We all meet and we will take a child's pose. So when you're ready, just come up on those toes, let the knees settle down nice and wide, point the toes away. Your bum rests towards your heels, your heart is long, and we settle down. Yeah, we give ourselves just that little extra space. Big breaths in and big breaths out. Nice, one more big breath in. And then eventually those hands reach forward. If they're not there already, gaze forward. Let's take it into a downward facing dog. So forward go the shoulders. Then we tuck the toes under, we make our way up and back with some strength. Inhale, left leg goes high. All right, as that left leg extends, we're looking towards our right hand and stepping up your left foot to your right wrist. Then eventually your back foot slides over just a little bit. It doesn't have to be such a huge movement, but just give your feet a little bit of an offset feeling. And then slowly you'll reach your arms up towards the ceiling. So we've got the front knee is bending. Yes, you know, you might have to moderate where your foot is, taking the hips and trying to turn them a little bit more forward. Then eventually we're taking a twist slightly towards the left-hand side. Nice, seeing how that feels. Yes, the quads are burning. Good, and then bring the gaze back to center. Left hand stays where it is. Now you can always drop down your back knee to the floor if this would be a better option for your body. Yeah, and take your fingertips to your ears. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, open this up. Exhale, elbow to knee. Perfect, very nice. Always use the breath. Let's go again. Last time, inhale, up we go. And exhale over. And so we hold. Then bring ourselves all the way back upright. Can you reach both hands up towards the ceiling? Hold here. Then fingertips come down towards the floor. Take your back foot and hop it over towards the right side again. Now we're in wide leg forward fold facing towards the right side. So we want to look at the distance, toes to the edge of the mat, heels out. Yep, just kind of making sure that our hips aren't like overly twisted. Then inhale, lengthen up your heart once again. And exhale, let's slowly walk those hands in between the feetsies. So you might just stay fairly upright and hang out here. Now the key to get down low is to shift the weight forward into the base of the toes, activate your palms and press the mat forward like you're trying to slide it in the direction of your head as you anchor your tail up to the ceiling. Your elbows are over top of your wrist line, shoulders are away from the ears. Knees are straight or slightly bent. One more big inhale. And then take some time, walk your hands all the way back upright. Let's flare those wings once again. Arms go out right and left. Okay, this time they stay here, or you move with me. We open up the wings so we have right hand down, left hand up, and slowly opening us up towards the front of the mat. Bring it back to center. Go the other side. Left hand down, right hand up. And then back to center. We'll go one more time to either side. You can lower down your right, lift up left. Nice. Perfect. Bring those arms open. Last time, we've got left fingertips down. We have the right ones up. Open this all the way up. And slowly bring the hands down to the floor. That's a lot. And we walk around. So now we walk out the left foot slightly towards the left side. Back knee settles down. Lizard pose. Yeah, so point away those back toes and allow your heart. It's like your hips are moving forward and down, and then we're allowing our heart to drop a bit further into that space. So again, today it might be just settling in with that heart lift, right? Yeah. I do this in a lot of the Wednesday classes for Dolores because I know that she likes this, and if you guys don't, I can give you her information after class. All right, we get into those hips, the hip flexors, right? The outer edges of the left hip. Here we are. So one more big breath in here. And then slowly we bring ourselves all the way back upright. We walk the left foot in, tuck the right toes under. Now the key to get back safely is make sure that knee is over top of the ankle, unless you're just sliding it back, so that you can lift and step back, up or push up. Also giving yourself freedom just to do downward dog or child's pose, otherwise we're flowing. Chaturanga or floor, upward dog, cobra. Downward facing dog. Yes. Okay, tabletop it. Inhale, come up high on your toes. Take your knees down to the floor and walk your hands back a little bit so that you've got that nice shape for your tabletop. Extend right leg only. So hydrant pose here. Activate the pads of your fingertips. Take your hip, open it up first, then bend your knee, and the toes would kick towards the left-hand side. Now see if you can keep your arms straight and puff up the upper back a little bit. Now we're moving this into a variation of wild thing, so your bottom foot slides towards the left. Spin out your hands slightly, and then you can a little bit more easily drop. Maybe you just take that foot and extend up. If you go a little further, you start sliding your heart around and open this up. That bottom arm is strong for 3. Holding here for 2. And then for 1. Bring yourself all the way back. Hands come down, leg can extend for a moment. And bring both knees down, quick child's pose. Maybe closer knees this time. Bring your bum down to your heels. Doesn't matter if it doesn't touch. That's just the experience of the direction. It's okay. One more big breath in here. And then we'll bring ourselves all the way back upright. Hands under the shoulders, knees widen out just a little bit. Take your left leg now, extend it straight back behind you in the air. Very exciting. Okay, we open up the hip, bend the knee, point the toes towards the right-hand side. Nice. Perfect. And then this bottom foot, you need to spin it, otherwise your whole body won't go with you. As you start to open this up, maybe you drop your foot down and then keep spinning. That bottom foot, if it spins, you have an easier time opening up your heart. Holding here for 3. Yes. For 2. We get so locked up in the front side of our bodies in this space. Let's open it up, find some freedom. One last big breath in. Lovely. Bring ourselves all the way back. Hands come down, so we come out a very similar way. Allow that leg to extend, knees come down, and let it go. Maybe even you'd let your arms go. If you've been having your arms forward, maybe it will feel nice to have the head sort of settle down with the arms all the way back behind you. Nice, one more big breath in here. Beautiful, and then eventually we'll roll ourselves, coming all the way back upright, taking your bum off right or left, whichever direction feels better for you, and take the legs all the way up the front. So come on up closer to the top of your mat, and take your right knee in towards your chest. Give it a little squeeze. Your option is to drop your foot down to the inside. You still have some space between your knee and your foot where you can take your foot all the way over to the outer edge. And then right hand reaches behind you. We sit up tall. Inhale, up we go. Option A. You give a little hug to that knee, or your arm goes to the outer edge of the knee itself so that you create a 90-degree with your left arm. Perfect. And if the neck allows, you're actually trying to spin open enough that your chin is moving towards your back shoulder. One more big breath in here. And then eventually you bring yourself all the way back to center into seated tree. Take your foot, bring it to the inside of your left thigh. So you've got your second toe is still facing up. You can always bend your knee. Inhale, both arms reach. Exhale, come on forward. So maybe today's not the day where we grab onto the foot, we grab onto the shin, and we extend out nice and long. You can also work this into a bit of a twist if you prefer. So your right hand goes to the outer edge of your foot, ankle, shin, knee. Left fingertips crawl a little bit further out, and we take the twist like we're trying to drop our face down to the floor on the left side. Just a different way of moving it through the spine, checking in if that's what you need. If it's not, then we don't do it. One more big breath in here. And then eventually we'll bring ourselves all the way back to center. Roll your shoulders back. Arms come up nice and high. Perfect. Take your hands around your left knee and bring it in. You'll probably need to just slide in your leg as you take your hand to the outer edge of your foot, your ankle, shin, or your knee, and extend the leg out to the side. Perfect. Then maybe you have your arm reaching out, taking the gaze in the opposite direction. Good. One more big breath in here. Moving this to warrior three, eventually dropping your left foot down ahead of you. So you've got some space to roll a little bit, push your hands down, extend out your right leg. Up we go into a standing position, allowing our hips to be neutral, maybe peace fingers down, fingertips, or flare your arms wide. Nice. Hanging out here. Then eventually everyone drops their fingertips to the floor. Your back knee will tap the front of your front leg's back knee, okay? Is everyone with me? No, probably not. Here we go. Take your right knee and sort of bend both knees so that your knees attach to knees. Yes, okay, we're good. I know, awesome description, okay. Inhale, extend out the right leg, open up your heart, warrior three. Exhale, bend, your back knee attaches to the back of your front knee. Inhale, extend. Last time. Exhale, take knee to knee. This time, hold, hold, hold. Be in a squat, lift your heart, look forward slightly for three. Holding here for two. Maybe you see if you can lift your arms up, bend your elbows, and hold here. One more big breath in. Slowly take those hands down to the floor. Step it back with your right foot. Step it back with your left foot. Option downward dog or flow. Chaturanga or floor. Upward dog, cobra. Downward facing dog. Love it. Good. Come up high on your toes. Let your knees come down. Walk your bum back towards your heels, and you'll eventually side saddle off onto the earth once again as the legs swing around in front of you. Okay, awesome. Take your left knee in towards your chest. Get a little bit of a squeeze. Yep, it's getting warm in here. That is for sure. I'm like, woo! Note to self. Okay, and you can take your foot down to the floor and have that space in between. You can also drop it over. Yeah, perfect. Eventually, left fingertips come behind you. Inhale, up goes your arm, option A. Give a little hug, option B. You've got your elbow attached to the outer edge, and then we spiral. So maybe today the gaze is going over your back shoulder. Nice. One more big breath in here. Yeah, and then eventually we're taking ourselves back to center. We're giving our knee a little bit of a hug and then opening it up towards the left side. So we've got seated tree, our left toes Our right toes are facing up to the ceiling. Inhale, both arms rise. Bend your knee if you need, it's okay. Exhale to forward fold. Whew. I ran outside for the first time in like a month. My hamstrings are screaming because there's a little bit of ice on the road, right? So it was like, I felt like I was doing a little bit of a dance once in a while. Not great for the hammies, that's for sure. So my left one took a bit of a burnt. Anyway, so here we are, surrendering our heart down a little bit further, and then if you want that extra space for the twist, your left hand goes to the outer edge of your foot, your right fingertips to the side, and you sort of drop over and then down. Exciting times. Here we are for 3. Holding out for 2. Nice, and then for 1, we're bringing ourselves back and rolling ourselves up. Those arms go nice and high, surrendering. Eventually, you're taking your hands around your right knee, tucking it in. I would probably just slide your foot in a little bit, yeah, for sure. And then you can use your hand, and you can even just put your knee out to the side, right? If your leg is feeling a little bit too tight, and extend. And then maybe your left fingertips reach out, and the gaze goes the opposite direction. Beautiful. Noticing if the breath is still making its way down into the belly. We want to watch that not just sitting in our chest, which is more of like an anxious breath, right? So we want to have deep, flowing, elongated breaths, keeping our heart rate low. And then eventually your leg can come back to center. You can bend it, drop down in front of you, a little 1, 2, 3, warrior 3. So take some time, get to how you need to get there. The leg extends. We've got the second toe on the left side facing down. The heart is open, holding here. Maybe. You flare your arms up to the side. See how you feel. Woo. Then eventually fingertips come down. Inhale here. Exhale, bend both knees. Back knee taps front knee. Inhale, extends. Exhale, take the squat. Inhale, fire that leg up. Last time, hold here. Keep the gaze forward, belly to the side, to the thighs, not to the side, to the thighs. Sit down low, and maybe you take your elbows and you wing them up. It's super weird. Do it for 3. Holding here for 2. And then for 1, hands down, step it back, left foot, step it back, right foot. Let's go, downward facing dog. Hold here. Yes, pausing here, getting a little bit more stretchy stretch, opening up those armpits. Nice, then come forward, upper push-up. Everyone make your way to the floor, however you see fit. Maybe you go through chaturanga, point the toes away. You can also just roll down. Taking your right arm out to the side and then dropping your shoulder head to the floor, working it out into a, so right arm out and drop the shoulder down. That's really important. Left fingertips to the earth, and then we roll over. So we're getting into the pecs, the rotator cuff. Then maybe some of you take your top leg and step it behind, knee pointing up to the ceiling. Left hand lifts, goes around the waist, maybe tucks into the inseam where your waist and the floor come together. Just getting opening, awareness. This is how we become more aware with our patterns and our habits. We actually have to kind of break down a little bit of even the patterning of the body. And then reach up that hand if it's around you. Bring it down to the floor for support. Both of your legs come together. Roll onto your belly, Sphinx Pose. Take your feet wide, slide your elbows underneath your shoulders now. Perfect. Yeah. So your palms are down. I would, if you can, get your palms a little wider than your elbows. And then surrender, like you're pulling the floor towards you. Lift your heart up a little bit, but take your belly button up, away from the floor. So if you're dropping, lift. And then bend up your right knee and take your foot to the ceiling. Nice. If you have a little bit more space in you, you might take your left arm out a little bit, lean on it, and just reach back and hold on to the foot. Maybe. You don't have to pull. Just hold there. Good, and then slowly release. Let your elbows come back down. Hold here, broaden through the collarbones, lifting up the gaze just slightly, bending out your left knee. You can just hang out here. This is a perfect pose to keep that foot active. You can also kind of lean on that right side a little bit, reaching back. You might have one of your legs that is a little easier to do this with. Yeah, it's like a half bow kind of pose. And then eventually taking your foot and lowering it down. Now, if you have a little more space, you're going to elevate, drop your palms down and lift the elbows a little bit. Keeping the core super active. It's almost like you want to take your bum, squeeze it, and tuck it down to the floor. Maybe you can walk your hands back a little bit more so. Yeah. Even if your arms are straight, which is fine, just make sure you haven't locked out the expense of the shoulders. Always keeping those shoulders down and the heart lifted. Okay? Yeah. One more big breath in. Nice, and then elbows go wide. Let's allow our heart to settle down. Take your left arm out to the side. Now, can you please drop your shoulder head to the floor though? This protects it. We don't want the shoulder head hovering up in the air when we take a twist. It's a little too hard on the joint. So start to roll open. Both feet can come together. Bend up your top knee and step that foot behind you. Yeah, and then you can even take that arm up, wrap it around you, and drop it where your waist and the floor come together so that you're getting that full surrender. Pausing here, noticing your breath. I'm sure you can hear it. And then eventually that right arm lifts back up to the ceiling. Drop it in front of you so you've got that extra bit of support. Bring both of your feet side by side and just allow both elbows to bend, hands plant one on top of the other, and your forehead comes down. And maybe you just move your hips a little side to side, getting into the areas where we need it the most, just kind of loosening that space up. And then lift the gaze as your hands come under your shoulders. We'll press, roll the shoulders into kind of a variation of a full cobra, little cobra, whatever, and walk yourself back so then you can shift your hips again off and around towards the front, and away we go. All right. So let's take our right knee, give it a little bit of a bend. Your option is to take the ankle or the outer edge of the foot and land it on the top side of the upper left thigh. Perfect. Some of you will have a bit more space. You can lean back and let your left foot come to the floor. Then your hands will come behind you and you'll lift your heart up. So what we want to try and do is create a little bit of resistance. Your top foot is sort of pressing down against your knee while you push your bum and sit bones down to the floor and lift your heart forward. Yeah, so now we're getting into the outer edge of our right hip. Nice. Good, one more big inhale here. Perfect, and then soften this up a little bit. Settle back, flip your grip so that your palms are now flat to the floor. Let both of your feet come down, reverse tabletop. Anchor down your feet. The option is also Purvottanasana. If you're doing tabletop, stay here. Purvo is with straight legs, which does make a bit of a difference. Toes stay touching, shoulders roll back. It's a reverse push-up, basically. You can lift into your variation of tabletop or come right up into Purvo. Cramping in my feet. For 3, until I haven't pointed my toes like this in a while. For 2. And then for 1, slowly bring yourself all the way back down. Take your left knee, draw it in towards you. Oh, that was real. A little more water for me today. And then eventually your ankle, it's kind of like the outer edge of your foot lands on the top side of your right thigh. Okay? And then you slide back a little bit and drop your foot down maybe. Hands are flipped behind you. So instead of having that shape where we're kind of rounded, we want to create a bit more of that, some height in the heart. And then the tail sits down as you gently press the outer edge of your foot onto the top side of your thigh, and that creates the resistance. Nice, holding here for 3. Beautiful. And then for 2. Good. And then for 1. and then slowly let's release. Let's do tabletop or Purvottanasana once again. So you can extend, roll the shoulders back. You can even just stay here, a perfect pose, and then elevate yourself up or not. For 3. For 2. For 1. Slowly bring your bum all the way down. Keep those legs extended. Maybe you gotta scooch up a little bit because we're coming down to the floor. And you'll roll yourself all the way down. I'm gonna stay upright. If you can take both of your knees in towards your chest, so we're all the way down, letting the head hang out, drawing those knees in towards you. Slide up just a little bit here. Might even just walk it, a little side to side. Then let's take it into a spiral twist. We all love that. Arms open up nice and wide. And as your back and head stay neutral, let the knees fall over to the left-hand side. So as the knees go down and the heart opens up, we have the feeling of like your bottom hip has slid back to the center of the mat and your top hip is settled on, like pretty much right on top, if possible. Of course, that is all going to change depending on what's going on in your body, right? And so we allow that breath to slowly move in and move out, becoming so aware of how we feel and what's occurring. Maybe even we start to notice what picks up as we slow down. Does the mind start to wander into areas? And what you might be surprised at is sometimes where our mind goes to, those little irritants, those little conversations, we might be inadvertently or unconsciously dropping that wherever we go. Insecurities, fear, anger, control, right? What are we dumping? When you're ready, you can bring yourself all the way back to center. And let's go Supta Baddha Konasana. So allow the bottoms of your feet to touch and your knees will open up like a butterfly. You can choose a hand positioning that's different though, right? Hands to the heart, one hand on belly, switch it up. Both hands on heart, both hands on belly. And we breathe. And this is where we actually get an opportunity to feel ourselves, like truly feel. And then we can make choices. The feelings are not the issues. Feelings are never wrong. We get to feel what we feel because that's who we are. But what we do with them, how we interact, makes such a difference. And eventually, take some time, there's no rush. You'll bring those knees back in. And you'll slowly maybe move those hips over to the left while they fall to the right. Arms open up once again so you end up in that twist. You're laying down still, head is neutral. You might even have your gaze shifted in the opposite direction of the knees so that there's this really beautiful sensation of expansion, twisting and lengthening at the same time. Lovely. And then eventually rolling yourself onto your back body one last time. Bringing your knees in towards your chest, and let's seal this practice in this morning or afternoon or evening, whenever you're doing this, and taking your forehead down towards the knees and pausing here. And then allowing yourself to move when you're ready into Shavasana. So your legs go nice and long and your arms open up. You can take a moment or two to get settled, getting those shoulder blades relaxed, finding what it is that gives you that freedom of spine, of muscles, of tissues, of overworking of the brain. Maybe you take a big breath in and out. I'm not going to leave you for long. I'll leave you with silence for the next couple of moments. And I'll call you back when it's Slowly, as you take some time, as we bring the mind, body back. Maybe wiggling the toes and the fingers, giving yourself some freedom. Stretching the arms above your head, arching the back, pointing the toes, and then when you're ready, take a roll over onto one of your sides, the right or the left. And there's no rush, but get here as you do. Yeah, like those big sighs as you start to roll yourself. Coming all the way back up, sitting deeply on the sit bones. The heart is elevated. You can take some time as you bring your hands into heart space and we bow the chin. Just give ourselves a few moments here. So grateful for the opportunities that we have for fitness, for mind-body health, and for this community. So grateful. And so as we become more aware of what we are unconsciously dumping in our relationships, in our communities, in our families, we take note of this today and we walk with a lighter footprint. Let's close this class with a single cleansing breath and an Om. Taking an inhale, let's cleanse. Inhaling to Om. The divine light in me witnesses, sees, and loves the divinity within each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here, being part of my life, my journey. I'm so grateful to be part of yours. Namaste. Lovely, and I'm going to unmute all of you. Let me just do that so we can have our lovely last little bit here. Perfect. There we go. Oh, there we go. All right, everybody on YouTube, I'll see you soon. I'm just going to connect with the people online. Take care. Much love.